Wow, nice haul.
Told ya, Macy's Backstage has perfect last-minute gifts.
With prices so low, you never need a coupon.
I scored the perfect makeup palette.
Super cute. I grabbed these cool drones for the guys.
Nice. Here's a handbag for Aunt Helen.
Found awesome toys for the kids.
Cookware for the budding chef.
Oh, and look what I got for Uncle Hank.
A puppy chew toy?
No, that's for Rex. They even have gifts for pets.
Well, you know Uncle Hank. He'd love anything we gave him.
Macy's Backstage. Savings for everyday life. Details at macy'sbackstage.com.
Blog Talk Radio.
Well, hi there, folks. It is a Wednesday afternoon, and I have to tell you that my shows are probably one of the only highlights of my day today. So good afternoon to all. If you read my page, you see that I'm not having the greatest of days today. It's apparently turned into winter wonderland, which is kind of nice for some of us. But as it relates to driving, not quite so nice, as a matter of fact. So let's all pray that some of those issues I were having earlier today will resolve themselves. Thanks so much to everybody who is listening in terms of all the kindness and all the wonderful thoughts and prayers and texts that you sent me. I really appreciate it. As it speaks right now, we have one friend looking at the car. Hopefully another friend will be coming later. Hopefully I'll get to my holiday party tonight because I have my 2 o'clock show today with Michael. And then I'm back on air again today just to remind everybody at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time. Todd with SimFit is going to be coming on our show today. We're going to be talking about ways to improve yourself using both the concepts of fitness and incorporating them within the personal gym as well as rehab. He's put together a really interesting proposal for individuals coming to the gym, meaning that he takes your treatment regimen from your physician and then he goes ahead and acclimates fitness goals and programs based upon that, which is really nice. Helps a lot of rehab patients. He's got a lot of females with new groups. I'm super excited to talk to him. So if you don't get a chance to listen in at 1 o'clock today, please join me again at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time today. One more quick reminder to everybody, big announcement this weekend. We're finally releasing my calendar, Art is Alive, The Magic of Indie Movies. So please go ahead and check out that Facebook page. If you haven't got my son's comic book, once again, Sergeant Seizure and the Evil Dr. Cuckoo, and obviously Art is Alive Film Festival, which I announced my film festival from last year in New York City. We're going to be doing it again in 2018. I don't know why. Just kidding. So many people asked me to do it. I guess we'll do it again. So hopefully, with any luck at all, that'll be a raving success. But speaking of success stories, let's have me stop talking and let's get Michael on the line and have him start talking about himself. Hi, Michael.
Hello, Cindy. How are you?
Oh, my gosh, it's been a long time, hasn't it? In fact, I looked today and I'm like, oh, my gosh, you haven't been back to my show in 5 years. Can you believe that?
I know. It's crazy how quick time goes. It's just,
I
think every
was
year.
floored.
Every year, Cindy, I think each year goes faster. The older we get, the faster it goes.
I know, right? Not to mention the fact, of course, you've expanded out so much. I've expanded quite a bit. It's hard to keep track of people. I think it's not that we don't mean to, but there's just so much that happens. This industry, and you and I are in parallel ones, there's just so much going on all the time. It's nuts. It's hard to keep track. And I have to ask you, in your neck of the woods, is it snowing right now? I mean, it looks like it's more than an inch or two. It's not, but it's beautiful.
No, today it's, right now where I am, it's 23 degrees, and it's partially an odd flake coming down, but not snow yet.
Ah, okay, gotcha. So you guys are not in the line of fire as of yet. I think we got ours earlier today, as a matter of fact. It's just been a day from hell, I'm not going to lie. So talking to you is probably going to be like literally the extent of my day. This is the excitement. This is seeing my best later. That's about as good as it gets today. So I'm like, let's hope things go well with Michael. And as I understand it, you're leaving tomorrow. You're taking a trip? You're going away.
I am. I'm heading over to Europe for a wedding and the holidays, Christmas, and the New Year's, and back in January.
Wow. This is very, very exciting. And have you been there before? Because that sounds like a hike. I mean, like a long-distance travel.
Oh, no, my wife is actually from Ireland, so we're going back to a family wedding. And where she is absolutely beautiful. It's she's on the side of a mountain that looks down onto a beautiful golf course in the ocean. So,
my God, that sounds wonderful.
Yeah, beautiful spot. And we haven't been back in a few years, so the whole family, we're all looking forward to it.
I imagine so. Well, wonderful. I hope for safe travels, obviously, of course, especially with this weather. It's so on again, off again. Oh, my God. It's almost bipolar to some degree here. But I'm okay. It's a beautiful scene right now. I'm like, okay, it's great. Not great to drive in, but it's nice nonetheless. So I'm going to kind of go roam. I'm sorry? Go ahead.
Sorry? I was going to say, it was beautiful when it snows first.
Oh my God, right? It looks gorgeous, and all of a sudden it's slush, and you have to get around it.
Yeah.
Like I have a holiday party tonight, and I'm like, oh great, yay! But we'll make the most of it. That's okay. No, I'm going to cover some things, obviously, that you and I have done before, but clearly somebody that hasn't listened to my radio show before may not be familiar with what you've done and who you are, obviously. One of the biggest things that I like to cover is you clearly are a retired New York City detective. You work with the
Yes.
NYPD, the FBI Federal Task Force. So I'm always intrigued to ask people about choosing a life of law enforcement. First of all, I can imagine it's scary for your wife, depending on what capacity you're in. And second of all, there's been a bias, I think, to some degree that some people, I mean, it's taken me a long time to love the cops. You know what I'm saying? I think we all kind of are like, we have that formulated opinion. So what made you want to gravitate in that direction of your life occupationally?
Well, it's funny. I never intended to go that direction, but when I was in college and I just graduated, Wall Street had really hit the bottom, and just unemployment was like rampant. It was very tough to get a job. So
Sure.
my father just said to me, he says, listen, Michael, take all the civil service tests. Not that you ever have to take them, but just take them and see if you get called. So I did. I listened to him. I took all the civil service tests, and at the same time, I got called for 5 different civil service jobs. The fire department, at that time in New York, the police department had 3 different divisions, 3 different police departments. There was one for transit, one for the city, and one for housing. And then I also got called for correction officers, which was prison guards. And then I also got called for the sanitation department. So, of course, growing up as a boy, watching all your hit shows and everything, I picked New York City Police Department. And I'm a type of guy, in anything I do, I have tunnel vision. So I gave it 100%, and I have a baby face, so I only spent 1 year in uniform. I was undercover all my career. So it's just, but I was always in the music business. I mean, I grew up as singing in the Metropolitan Opera professionally as a boy soprano, and played with the New York Symphony, classical violin. So I always kept the music going at the same time.
I gotcha. Now, are there ever given points in time, do you ever look back and say to yourself, gosh, I really miss being in this capacity in my life? I know that sounds odd to you, but, do you ever miss certain parts or elements of that particular position you held?
Well, the one thing about being in law enforcement, every day is a new adventure. Especially if you're out, if you're not in an office job, if you're out on the street and you're out doing cases and stuff, there's never a dull moment. I mean, it's just, I think that's what makes it very interesting for people in law enforcement, because you don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. And, of course, there's a big risk and a danger with it, especially in a place like New York. You have a lot of officers, unfortunately, get killed in the line of duty. And, so it's that type of job. But, people who go into law enforcement, they're not going into it for any other reason but to help people. They want to do good. They want to save lives. They want to protect people. So even though situations occur where incidents have happened and where there's now a lot of bias against the police department, it's a very tough situation to call, because when it comes down to that second, you have literally a few seconds to make a choice. And your choice could either save someone's life, or you could make a mistake and end up going to jail. It's a very tough job. It's tremendous pressure, and people don't realize that. I mean, if someone's pointing a gun at you, if someone threatens you, if someone's attacking someone, you don't know what they have in their pockets. If they're giving you a hard time up front, you don't know what there is in their mind. Do they have a knife in their pocket? Do they have a gun in their back? Are they going to pull and shoot me? Do you wait to take that chance? So you have to make that split decision. You assess the situation, and you say, is my life in danger? And the fact of the matter is, if you do feel that your life is threatened and you've identified yourself as law enforcement, stop police. And they don't stop. They don't oblige your requests. Well, there's something wrong. Right away, your whole body is lifted, because well, what's this guy up to? What's this person up to? What is their mission? What are they trying to achieve? Do they want to hurt me? Do they want to hurt someone else? So it's such a split-second minute decision, and unfortunately, a lot of police officers, I guarantee you, they didn't get out of bed that morning to make a mistake. But a lot of police officers have made mistakes, and a lot of it is because lack of training. One thing about New York City Police Department, I would say we're probably the best trained police department in the world.
I believe that.
Our police officers are working right now with terrorist task force, FBI task force, every task force you could think of. NYPD is pretty much part of it. And it's because of the tremendous training that we have. And that's why you don't have as many accidents or many mistakes with the police department. You do have some. I mean, there'll always be some. But you don't have it as many. But you go to a small town that has 5 sheriffs, and their training is not the same. And they're not used to coming up to these hostile confrontations. So when a guy who's not used to dealing in a hostile environment comes into it once in a year, it's a very tough situation because they don't have the training, and they're not used to the consistency. So it's you got to give people a little credit. When they make a mistake, I guarantee you 99% of the time it wasn't intentional. It was a split-second decision, and they just made the wrong choice. But it's a life or death decision at a lot of times for a lot of these police officers. I feel sorry for the people that have a strong bias against the police officers, because I will tell you something right now. Since I started this charity campaign, The Gift Keeps Giving, I have met the most tremendous people in my life. I've never been happier in my life doing this campaign. But I have met the most tremendous people. Police officers. I could list you about 20 police officers who have worked with me on this campaign, and I didn't know they dedicate their lives to these charities. I mean, they're involved for 20 years, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And they donate their time. They want no recognition for it. It's just amazing the goodness in people, and it's not just police officers. It's firemen, everyone, teachers, doctors, nurses, everyone. But, what shocked me the most is people that do this, that have that big heart, they don't talk about it. They just do it because that's who they are. And I've been blown away. I've been blown away by this Gift Keeps Giving campaign. The people I have met and the time they spent with dealing with these different charities and different organizations, it's absolutely amazing. So to anyone out there who is biased against police officers, just give it a second thought. They're human beings like anyone else. Everyone can make a mistake. Yeah.
That brings me to mind, and I want to ask something in terms of, clearly, I'm sure you heard earlier this week, obviously, my heart just sinks because I'm in Wisconsin. I'll eventually be a New York City resident, but a lot of my friends are in New York City. So we had that incident with, on 8th Avenue and 42nd Street, and I'm just, I was just curious to hear your thoughts in terms of, because you used to work, obviously, as part of the New York City Police. I just feel like, I was just talking to a friend about this earlier today in terms of, is it just my imagination, or does it seem like New York City seems to be quite the target these days for these things? Sadly, I might add.
Any place that would give these terrorists volume of people that they can, just like that concert in Las Vegas. Even though that gentleman wasn't a terrorist that we know of yet, but, anywhere where you have a lot of people together at the one time, I don't care where it is in the United States today or where it is in the world, you gotta be sharp. You gotta walk into these places and be observant. It's unfortunate that people have to be like that today, but that's just the circumstances we're living in now. And, so when you walk into a restaurant, or you walk into a concert, or you walk into somewhere where there's a lot of people, be observant. If something hits you strange, don't just walk by it and not say something. Stop a police officer or make a phone call, because it's worth it. Even if there's nothing to it, it's worth it. If it doesn't seem right to you and your gut is telling you, wow, that's really weird, do something about it. Don't just walk by and get in your car and drive away. Everyone has a cell phone today. So pick up your cell phone, make a call, say, hey, I'm here on 42nd Street, Manhattan, and there's this box sitting in the corner. It just doesn't seem right. And then you go about your business, but you at least notified someone to look into it. So
Of course,
that's
I
what I
agree.
strongly advise people. Because you know what? Life is so precious, and these maniacs that are coming into this country doing this, they're obviously, they're not thinking right. It's just, they're off. It's unfortunate. Unfortunately, I say the world is on tilt at the moment because it's not just happening here. It's happening all across the world.
I know.
In France, Germany, England, Africa. It's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame that this is the environment our children will have to grow up in. Because when I was a child and you were a child, Cindy, we didn't have to deal with this that much. I mean, there was an odd situation.
But
it's
heart-wrenching,
like
and it's sad. Well, and it's nice, too, that there are some of us out there that are trying to do things in the arts and other things in terms of trying to keep people. It's tough. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I talk to a lot of people where hope is very stringent. You know what I mean? People are losing hope in humanity. People are feeling weaker. People are feeling out of sorts. It's sad. So it's kind of nice to use some of these artistic outlets, which you're about to talk to. God, your resume is twice as long as mine at this point. I want to cover, because you're delving in so many different areas. So let's backtrack a little bit and talk about, most people may not know that you and your sister, of course, co-founded the Sheahan School of Music and Dance. I wanted to do just an update on that in terms of, is that still happening? Are you still involved with that?
No, well, I don't teach anymore. I used to teach.
Okay.
I had over 300 students a week that I was teaching while I was in college. But once I went on the police department, I still continued playing with music with bands and in recording studios, but I stopped the teaching because I just couldn't do it all. And but my sister still does. She has a very prominent school, and she runs a big event every year in New York City called the Big Apple Fest. And it's held in one of the hotels in Manhattan, and they come from all over the world. I'm talking thousands of step dancers of every age group from every country comes to this event. And there's several throughout the year run by different people, but my sister runs the Big Apple Fest in New York City, in Manhattan.
Oh, nice.
And it's, she is quite a successful school, and she's worked hard at it. I mean, she's at it, many, many years now. We started when we were teenagers, well, not teenagers, in college, and, it's just... it's a very, very great thing, and she loves it. It's her passion. So I always say to everyone, find something you love and go for it, because you're a much happier person when you love what you're doing.
Oh, my God, absolutely without a doubt. Now, to you folks that are listening in case they don't know this, you have played the accordion, the violin, the flute, the banjo, the tin whistle. Oh, my God, that cracks me up. That's like, oh, my gosh, she plays everything on here. And you also play guitar, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Play guitar, drums, bass guitar, piano. I've won international competitions all around the world on several different instruments. And, I was blessed. For Christmas coming up, every year my parents would, besides a few toys, of course, they'd give me an instrument. Right. And,
nice.
I just love music. So, instruments sometimes are very related. Like when you play the banjo, the 4-string banjo is very similar to the violin, except, of course, it's played totally different. But once you read music, you can play any instrument, and different instruments relate to each other. So I just love the process, and I love music, always have, and I love to create. So it just seemed, I guess my parents realized that, and they just kept feeding that love.
Oh, that's awesome. And I have to ask a question about that, because clearly that's a multitude of different types of instruments. First of all, they're not as common as most. Like, people can play oftentimes guitar or piano, etc. But throwing in something like the accordion or the banjo, which is quite different, we don't even see that much anymore, let alone a tin whistle. I'm like, how often does this guy get to play a tin whistle? Tell me that's not often.
Well, believe it or not, you do hear it on a lot of recordings, but people don't probably realize what it is. They probably think it's a piccolo or another instrument.
Right.
But, it's, of course, both my parents immigrated from Ireland. So, country music started with the Irish and the Scotch. And it's the same thing, that the accordion and the violin and the banjo and the Ewan pipe and the baron. They're all very prominent, and the flute, of course, are all very prominent Irish instruments involved with the Irish music. So, it was just something we were always listening to from other artists as kids growing up, and country and rock. Mm-hmm. And the great thing about New York, where I grew up in the Bronx, New York, and it was such a diverse area. I mean, at that time when I was growing up, you had a big population from Puerto Rico, a big population from Cuba, a big population from Israel, from Ireland, Scotland, Italy, Germany, Poland. Mm-hmm. So since we were so close living together, you kind of learned everyone else's culture, and you appreciated everyone else's practices and appreciated everyone else's music. And so I was so lucky to grow up listening to salsa and listening to jazz and listening to classical and listening to polka and Irish and country and rock. It was just, I guess it's because where I lived, it was such a diverse area. And then, you know, you had the people from the West Indies came, and you learned reggae and you learned different stuff. It's just such a cool experience now that I look back at it, that I would probably never have if I lived somewhere that was not as diversified, because you wouldn't be exposed to it. So you wouldn't, right. Unless you got older and got turned on to it. But I grew up with it. I mean, I used to walk to the park in the summertime, and there'd be guys on bongos and timbales and trumpets and pianos, and I loved the syncopated percussion of Latin music. I used to stand there as a kid, even though I didn't know what they were playing and understood what they were singing. I just loved the backbeat and the syncopation of the music. I was like, wow, this is great. And, of course, I can sit there for hours watching them play. Sure. And it's just, you know, that's the greatest thing about America. We have such a diverse culture. I mean, you know, people come here for the American dream, but they also bring their heritage, their traditions, their talents. So, and that's, you know, open to everyone that lives here. So, you know, it's like, you know, people love Italian food. They love Spanish food. They love Chinese food. It's just, and you get it here in this country just like you would get it in that country. We're so lucky. We really are so lucky in America.
Me about it. Oh, I agree with you 150%. And I have to ask the obvious question if I'm doing my job, which is, if people are listening in today, because this is quite a swarm, and obviously I realize you didn't learn this overnight, if somebody is listening to this and they're encouraged or inspired, would you suggest them starting off on something basic and then working their way to a multitude of instruments, or what would you instruct them based on your experiences?
Well, you know, several different instruments are harder than others. But I would definitely advise anyone the easiest instrument. But the one thing about the piano today, with all the technology and everything, it gives you the basic formula for learning. And plus, it's something that you can learn simple tunes on very easily. And then, of course, the guitar is another one to start with. But when you get into the violin or flutes or different instruments, they're a little more difficult. But then again, you know, when children are the youngest, when I used to teach, the parents used to come, well, when can I start my kids? I said, how old are they? And they go 4. I said, well, now's a great time, because their minds are like sponges. They can take in so much, and there's no pressure attached to it when they're 4, 5, and 6. It's just like they're going for an hour for a music lesson. And if you make it fun, and of course it all depends on the teachers, but I've been blessed. I've had some fantastic teachers in my lifetime. And if they make it fun and interesting and enjoyable, the kids want to go home and play. They, you know, my children, I never put any pressure on them, but I made sure I found a very good teacher. I wouldn't teach them myself because it's too close. It's just too much. Got it. So I would find a very good teacher, and my kids used to come home from school, and they'd go up to their room, and they would practice for an hour by themselves. They never had to be told, because they just had that connection and love to the music. So, and that's the other thing. If you say, Johnny, go practice your music, or you can't go out to play, well, you are killing the experience. That is the wrong thing to do. The best. My mother had the best trick. When I was a kid, we used to come home for lunch. So we walk home for the hour, and then we go back to school for the rest of the day. So when I come home for lunch, Mom would say, oh, well, I'm making lunch. Why don't you play me that tune your teacher taught? And there was
Sure.
no pressure on it. So I'd take out the violin or whatever I was playing, and I'd play it for her. It might have sounded terrible, but she never pretended it did.
Sure.
She was like, "Oh, that's good. Why don't you play it again?" And just kind of enthuse the children and make it an enjoyable experience, and they will go so much further than if, you're not going out tonight if you don't practice your music. That just puts a pressure on it that taints it. It just discolors what you're doing and the joy of it.
Right. You want them to be excited, of course, and have their own enthusiasm for it, exactly, and that grows and builds, clearly. Now, to those that may not know, your education comes from two different places. I know you went to LaGuardia High School for Music and Art, and then I also know that you did the John Jay College for Criminal Justice. So when you become a veteran musician, clearly, most of the time when folks come on, they talk about continuing musical education. Do you even have time for that? I mean, do you hone your craft? Do you even have time to play, for that matter, anymore? I was going to ask you that because, a lot of this has been author relative.
All the time. I play. By the way, I went to Herbert H. Lehman College, which is a city university. Before I went to John Jay, I went there for 3 years, and I was, my degree in Lehman was a music degree and also chiropractics. I was taking a double major. And then when I got on the police department, to further myself in the police department, I went to John Jay for criminal justice. But it's, to answer your question, if you could repeat it one more time.
No, that's fine. I guess what I was asking was that clearly individuals, most of the time when I interview folks that come on the show, one of the predominant things that they can't stress enough to people is once you start playing music, especially professionally, it's inherently obvious that you need to continue education in terms of either practicing or educating or both, meaning that you're either playing or you're taking classes or you're doing both. What would you recommend to either a newbie or a veteran musician out there?
Well, there's an old joke in the music business. How do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. So, it's if you want to be good at your craft, and what's amazing to me today is with YouTube and the internet, you see these young children. I share them on. I have a page on Facebook. If everyone would like to join it, it's called Singer-Songwriter Michael Sheahan, and I see these young children, 8, 10 years old, and they are so far advanced already because of the internet. Where if they like someone, like for example, just pick any artist you like. You can go on the internet, and I guarantee you will find someone playing that guitar part and teaching it on the internet.
Right.
So besides your music lesson that you're taking, if you love the song, by anyone in today's music industry, you would be able to learn that song very quickly. And when you have it on video in front of you, it's the same thing I used in this children's book I released. I used the VAC learning system, VAK. It's visual, audio, and calisthenics. Because some children learn better by watching, some children learn better by listening, and some children learn better by actually doing it, writing it, or working out the keys, the scales, and stuff. So, if you find out what works for your child, like my son can listen to a song nearly twice and know it off by heart. He just has this knack when it comes to listening, and he'll sing it right back to you. He will, just find out what your child is good at. Is it visual? Do they learn better from watching videos or watching a teacher? And the great thing about the internet, you can play it over and over and over again. So if you miss it the first time or you're having difficulty something, you can watch it as many times as you want. So, and the other thing I would advise anyone taking music lessons is to bring in, every cell phone has a recorder on it. So when you go in for your hour lesson, and you're paying good money for it, have your son put his phone on recorder and tape that lesson. So when he comes home, he can listen to the teacher telling him over and over and over again. So it's just, with today's technology, these children are advanced so much faster. I mean, you have little children the age of 8 or 10, and they're playing Van Halen guitar parts. And,
that's wild.
It is. It's pretty incredible. I keep saying, I wonder what they're going to be like when they're 20.
Oh, my God. Listen to that.
They're going to be amazing. Yeah.
Do that.
So,
there's a side note here. I wanted to not forget about this on the musical side of things. I know in the past you played for the New York City Metropolitan Opera. Oh my God, just saying it gets me excited. In my 48 years of living, I've yet to get to the opera, and I plan to do so eventually. I was curious to ask you about the opera side of things. I just can't picture you doing this. Is that wrong? I mean, it just doesn't seem like your forte. You know what I mean? It goes along with the musical path you've had.
It's funny how life takes you in a different direction, and that's what I have a music publishing company, and I publish with some great artists. Some of them are Grammy Award-winning songwriters. And, the whole thing is you never know what's going to take you somewhere. One of our writers wrote a Grammy Award-winning song called "God Bless the Broken Road," and it's about falling out with his first love, and he happened to meet the woman he married. God bless the broken road that led me to you. And so you never know where life is going to take you. And it's just, that's just the way I look at it. So, the opera, I was singing in a choir in church, of course, and I guess they really liked my voice. I was getting all the solos, and I was only a young child, and singing in Latin and singing in all the different, for the church. And I was discovered. This one person came up to my mother at a competition where I was singing in the competition, and he said, you really should audition your son for the New York City Metropolitan Opera. So, of course, we didn't know nothing much about the opera at that time, and they gave us a contact to audition, and of course I got picked, and I was a soloist with the Met. I was in Lohengrin and Aida, and it was an incredible experience for a young child, and even better, I was backstage behind the scene, and it's just seeing how the production is done is a show in itself. They have stages that rotate, so when you're watching the opera from the audience, one stage sinks while they close the curtain, and while that stage sinks, there's a whole crew of like 20, 30 guys and women building the next set. And then the other stage moves forward. And by the time they're finished with that section of the opera, that stage sinks, and then the other stage is ready to come up again. It's like, it's amazing. They have, rivers with swans running down them. It's just what
Isn't
they
that
can
cool?
do. It's so cool.
It's awesome.
And as a child watching
I
this, I used to sneak out of our dressing room and watch everything. Walk by the adult opera singers, and they'd be in their room practicing, warming up, and making all these. At the time, I thought was the wackiest sounds, but now that I've taken voice lessons for years, I know what they were doing. But I used to just crack up and peek at them. But the experience was so cool. I mean, it was such a totally different element than what I was in before I got into it, if you could understand. Yeah, a totally brand new experience.
That's so cool. I love that. And one of these days I'm getting there before I actually die. Let's hope with any luck at all. Before we get to talking about your new campaign, which you obviously have mentioned, and of course the book itself, I want to bring this up. Obviously you're the founder of Finest World Entertainment, which is inclusive of Finest Books, Finest Music, Finest Media. There's another one I think I think there's 4 total. So this is what I want to talk about. Somebody that builds multiple businesses, because I've done the same thing. So when you decided to initiate Finest Worldwide Entertainment, what did you set out with the goal of doing, and have you managed to accomplish that goal? And I'm speaking to this more so because oftentimes when people listen to my show, they're thinking, I've got this great idea. So I want you to kind of talk about the realities of what you've accomplished, some of the challenges involved out there, and what would you encourage someone to do if they want to start jumping into that creative business area?
Well, I would advise them to do a lot of research before they jump in, because what happened with me was more out of necessity than thought I was going to do. And how I started Finest Music was I was going down to Nashville. How would I put it? I took a class in Manhattan called the National Academy of Popular Music. And the songwriting instructor I was taking a class from loved my voice, and he was a hit songwriter and asked me to sing his demos. So I started singing his demos, and course, he would critique my songs that I was writing because he was my teacher. And he said, you know, Michael, he says, I absolutely love your voice. He goes, he says, man, you gotta do something. But he said, New York's not the place. And he said, LA's not the place. He goes, you like Orbison? He says, I really think you should go down to Nashville. So he calls a friend of his, Sam Lauber, who wrote one of the biggest hits for Winona Judd, Nowhere Else on Earth. And Sam kind of took me under his wing, and he showed me a good studio to use and got me a good entertainment attorney to use. And I used to, while I was on the police department, when you make overtime, you can either take it in cash or time. So you were allowed 40 hours in cash, and anything after that would have to be taken time. So, of course, if you're making an hour overtime in time, you're getting it at time and a half. So I would work like crazy, get my 40 hours cash, and then I'd try to double it in time. So if I worked another 40 hours in time, that would be actually 60 hours. So I would save enough that I could take 2 or 3 weeks off, and I would go down to Nashville and record my original songs. And little did I know, the studio I was going into, every time I recorded the songs, the engineer and the keyboard player would say, man, you sound a lot like Orbison. And I said, thanks. At the time, I only knew one Orbison song, Pretty Woman. So I was like, thank you. I didn't know if they were just saying it to be nice, to get me back for more business, or if they were genuine. So about my 4th trip down, and every time I was down there, I would record maybe 5 or 6 different songs to make it worth my while for the trip. So on the 4th time down, the engineer hands me this contract of about 40 pages. And he says, Michael, I'd like to sign you to a production deal. And I was like, oh, okay. Now, meanwhile, they never knew I was a police officer in New York. I never told anyone.
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
So Sam turned me on to a really good attorney, and she reviewed the contract, and I ended up doing the deal. And it turns out that the engineer was Roy Orbison's guitar player, and his name is Jackie Cook. And the piano player, Jim Kirby, his nickname was Turbo, was Roy Orbison's piano player. So I walk into the office, and there's their picture with Roy Orbison on the wall. So it's a small world, but that deal never happened to say. What happened was Barbara Orbison, Roy's wife, they have a big building in Nashville called Still Working Music. And there's on one of the floors, there's a vault of all Roy's stuff, his clothes, his guitars, his recording. And she found a box on 2-inch reel with all these recordings from Roy. When he would make an album, he might record 15, 20 songs, but only 12 of them made the album. So she found that all the other 8 songs they didn't record. So my deal was killed because she wanted to release the new Roy Orbison songs and wanted nothing else to go against it, because what we were doing was 8 of my original songs, 4 Roy Orbison covers, and we were going on tour with the original Roy Orbison band. And it was pretty exciting, and just like that, that's the entertainment business. Just in 1 second, we called into Barbara Orbison's office, and the deal was done. It was over, because she wasn't going to go through with it. So, and that's when I started Finest Music. You see, everything happens for a reason. I always had Finest Music in New York, but that's when I opened my Nashville office, and I signed some incredible songwriters. Matt King was one of the first writers I signed. And then Bobby Boyd, who won the Grammy for God Bless the Broken Road for Rascal Flatts. Yep. And Alan Miller, a great lyricist, wrote hits for the Mavericks, and Rick Trevino, Grammy Award-winning artist. And so I've been very fortunate, very blessed. But, that's what I say to people. Don't ever give up. If you have a passion for something, you jump into it. And the entertainment business, I will say, is the toughest business. There's a billion people trying to achieve the same thing, and it takes hard work, it takes talent, and it takes luck. No matter how good you are, it takes luck to meet the right people, to meet the right connections. And networking. Everyone thinks, once you look at these big stars out there, they say, oh, my God, I want to be that. But let me tell you something. Those big stars work 24/7. They are
I
on
know.
the bus, going to their job, and then they're doing interviews that day on the radio, wherever their concert's going to be that night, and then they have to do sound check, and then they have to come out and do the show, and then they do meet and greets after the show, and then they're back on the bus to the next location. It's a grueling job, but it's very rewarding. I mean, you're a big star and you're very successful, but there's a lot of work involved. It's not just fun. And it's just important to know what you're getting into, and you got to really want it. You got to have that passion and that drive. You have to really want it, because it can get very tiring very quick. How many great bands that you just see come to their peak of success and break up right before they get there?
How sad is that?
It happens all the time, and it's just the pressure. Because once you get popular, then the pressure comes. You have no pressure. No pressure while you're trying to get there. But once you get there, now all the pressure's on you, and it's an industry within an industry. It's amazing, really amazing. And people don't realize, one artist employ 100 people behind them: hairdressers, wardrobe, attorneys, managers, sound crew. They have such a responsibility. They're feeding so many families with their career. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
Sure.
Yeah.
I look at it and my head marvels, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's nuts, actually. Now, before we talk about your book and your new mission, I just had to notice this, because I didn't realize this the last time I talked to you. And how cool is this, that you were one of the sponsors of the Nashville Film Festival? I love that. Love that. I just started in film a few years ago, and that's awesome. Kudos to you on that one.
We've been sponsors for years, and we grew it. When I got involved with it, it isn't as big now. I believe right now it's the third biggest film festival in the country.
I know. It's impressive, and I'll tell you, it's so nice to see that people are supporting. Especially because they rely. I don't think that people realize how much you rely upon stuff like that. So that's awesome, man. Now, obviously, some people who are listening for the first time don't know anything about Mr. Holidays Presents the Rooftop Hops. Responsible for winning 2 Moonbeam Awards. I'm so excited about that, and I, of course, have a copy myself. Thank you so much again, Michael. But to those that are listening in and don't know the premise behind the story, because it is Christmas, folks, and about 30,000 of you have children at home, so please, if you would, give a summation of your original work and explain to them what the book's all about.
Sure. The book came to me. I created Mr. Holidays because actually of the current environment with people. There's a thing that's kind of for the last 7, 8 years, 9 years, kind of a strain that's going against Christmas for some reason, and I can't understand it, because Christmas is such a beautiful time and brings people together. And so for want to stop playing Christmas music in the stores during Christmas, it's this blows me away, because I'm a big kid at heart. I love every holiday, and that's why I created the character Mr. Holidays, and purposely created them to keep that family tradition of the holidays going, but creating something new, to build upon it, to create new memories with the families, as well as keep the old traditions. So when I created Mr. Holidays, it's a story about Santa. And Santa comes down the chimney to deliver his toys, and then when he goes up the chimney with the fire, he cools his feet off in the snow doing this dance called the Rooftop Hop. And I brought an award-winning choreographer from the Tony Award-winning show In the Heights on Broadway, Michael Balderrama, to create a dance that goes with the song that goes with the book. And then Michael brought in Jennifer Parsonen, who is an incredible dancer and teacher, and together they produced a dance called the Rooftop Hop. An illustrator I discovered through a friend of mine in Florida. His name is Doug Rice. And Doug, what an amazing find Doug Wright was. Doug, when you co-create with people, sometimes it always doesn't gel. Some people work, some people don't. And it's just like writing a movie with someone. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So when I had the design of Mr. Holidays and everything in my head, but I'm not an artist. I don't draw well. So I reached out to Doug. He was referred to me And Doug and I just clicked, and he could literally, it was like he could get in my head and make it happen on paper. And that doesn't happen too often when you're, it's a beautiful thing when that happens with a co-creator. So Doug did these illustrations, and, between the whole content, when we won the Moonbeam Children's Book Awards, which is one of the biggest children's book awards in the world, I think the year we won it, there was either 32 or 42 different countries that entered. And we were the only American company that won 2 awards in 1 year. And we won for Best Holiday Book, and the second award was Best Holiday Book with Music Theatrical. And when Jim Jenkins, who's the gentleman who runs the Moonbeam Book Awards with the Jenkins Group, he's been in the business for 30, 40 years. When we flew out to Traverse City, Michigan, to receive the awards, he said, in all my years of doing this, I have never seen a children's book with such amazing content. And, that just blew me away, because this was I have a book and music and hopefully a dance or games written for every holiday in the calendar year. I just haven't produced them yet because I want to see where Mr. Holiday's Rooftop Hop is going to go and how it's accepted. And, when he said that, it just validated what everyone else was telling me. But when it came from an industry professional like that, it was huge to hear.
Sure.
And then Mr. Jenkins recommended us to go into the FE Award, which is at Book Expo America. It's the biggest book convention in the world. Happens every year at the Jacob Javits Center in New York. It goes on for a week long. And so we entered into the IPPY Award, which is the Independent Book Publishers Award. And I couldn't believe it. We won. I mean, we beat out all the other companies, and it was quite an experience. So
I believe it.
I've been blessed. And Mr. Holiday's, God channeled it down to me for whatever reason, and I think I discovered the reason, and that's this year.
Really?
I'm kicking myself that I haven't done it earlier. This campaign that I started, The Gift Keeps Giving, I was inspired by a good friend of mine out in Iowa. His name is Ben Stroh, and he's with a company called A-Line EDS. And Ben is just the type of guy, he has a huge heart and, very humble man, and he's a very successful man. But Ben, when he heard the hurricanes wipe out Texas and Florida, him and the guys from A-Line, they go to Walmart, and they bought 2 complete shipments out of water and sent them down to Florida. Well, now, unknowns to Ben, somehow the paper in Iowa wrote an article on him doing it. And, of course, when it came out, he sent it to me. And I said, wow. I said, what an unbelievable guy. I mean, what a big heart. So it just inspired me. I said, man, I'm sitting on all my books that I have. And, of course, it's great to sell your books. But I said, man, all these children that have been wiped out by the hurricane, and then you had the fires in California, you had the earthquake in Mexico. We've had so many catastrophes in 2017. It's been a rough year. So, and then floods in various places. So anyway, I picked up the phone and I started calling charities, hospitals, schools, anyone I could reach that I could get this book into children's hands. And I tell you, it has been such a joy for me. We have now reached all across the country. And my goal was to donate 100,000 books. We're up to 25,000 so far. And it's just been amazing. It's been fantastic. But I had one principal call me from Texas after we sent her a large shipment of books. She says, Michael, she goes, I can't believe you sent us this. Because our book, besides the book, it has, we're the first company to come out with a musical CD embedded into the front hardcover and a dance instructional DVD embedded into the back hardcover. And then it has so many gifts in one. Like on the DVD, you have Michael Balderrama and Jennifer Parson teaching the dance in intermediate, advanced, and beginners level. And then also you have the book on digital form where the children can put it into their car audio system or video system and into their computer and read the book with the music, without the music. Then we brought in a cast of Curdy and went to the American Movie Company And we shot a whole scene where Santa and Mrs. Claus are doing the dance with a cast of 30 children in Hollidaysville on the rooftops. And it's really cool. And then also on the book, you can put it in your computer, on the DVD, put it in your computer, and download all the award-winning illustrations from Doug Wright from the book and create your own coloring book. So it's so many different aspects. And I think that's why Mr. Jenkins said, he said, you know, in all my years doing this, and he's in the business with the award, he says, I've never seen a book with such amazing content. So, you know, I'm really proud of what we achieved, but it's the team I had with me, the illustrator, the choreographer, my session guys on the recordings were absolutely fantastic. My engineer, John O'Baney with Sonic Eden Studios in Nashville. You know, the talent that surrounded me and what I contributed just all came together. And it's been a blessing from the beginning. So, and that's why I call it the gift keeps giving, because I got the idea to create it. We won all the awards, which was a gift. And now just to be able to donate it is a gift. So, and the response I'm getting, like the one teacher I was saying from Texas, she said, Michael, you know, kids are living in shelters. Our school is a borrowed building. It's not a school. And she goes, this might be the only thing these kids will have this Christmas. And she goes, you know, I just can't thank you enough. And I tell you, it brought tears to my eyes because I'm like, wow, you don't realize the hardship people are in because you don't hear about it. You hear about the incident, and then you never hear about the after effects. And, you know, Florida and Texas and Louisiana, and they've really been devastated by these hurricanes this year. So, and then it's just taken off. You know, then we started reaching all the children's hospitals and Ronald McDonald's House in Chicago and New York and Buffalo. You know, even in Milwaukee there, the Children's Hospital in Michigan, and all over New Jersey, Iowa, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Texas, Florida. It's just amazing. And to see the response from people, and it's so gratifying to be able to do this. And I hope to be able to continue this. I hope the gift that keeps giving is going to go on for years to come.
Well, and I wanted to mention that, obviously. I knew there was 25,000, and folks, so you know, he's had books, or sent books, I should say, to Florida, Texas, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Massachusetts, Iowa, New Jersey, New York. Obviously, you also mentioned that your goal was 100,000 books, clearly. Christmas is only a couple of weeks away, because I know that was your target time, I believe. You also have established a GoFundMe page, and I saw you've earned almost $2,500 so far. And talk to folks a bit about how – oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
No, that's all right. I just wanted to ask in terms of, obviously, you have the GoFundMe campaign set up. I see that you've earned almost that $2,500. So how long does that campaign go on? Is that revolving? Is there so many months to it? How long will you continue that? Can people still participate?
Well, you know, when I started this campaign, I never even thought of creating a GoFundMe campaign. But what happened is, you know, when you sell the books to a retailer, the retailer covers all the shipping and all the handling.
Right.
So I never experienced when you donate the books, now you have to cover the shipping and handling. And most of our shipping starts at 700 books and up. I mean, we ship, our average shipping is 700 books up to 5,400 books is our largest shipment so far to one location. And, you know, what happened is it's expensive. It's really expensive to ship these books. My warehouse is in Asheville, Ohio, and if you're shipping to Texas and you're shipping to Illinois, like we did a lot of donations in Illinois as well, and different places, it's expensive. So at the point my credit card started maxing out, and I was advised by several people, listen, Michael, number one, no one knows what you're doing, and number two, you need to start a GoFundMe campaign because, you know, you can't keep affording to do this. So I took their advice and I started the GoFundMe campaign. And it's going to be ongoing because I hope to do this every year. So, you know, anyone who wants to pay it forward with me, just think you are making a child happy. I'm donating the books, and whatever you can give us will go towards the shipping and the handling expenses. And, you know, there's a lot of fees involved, and it's just, I I had no choice to continue. I had to start the GoFundMe campaign.
I don't.
Now, unfortunately,
it
hasn't taken off yet, but I'm not worried about it. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing as long as I can, and whatever happens, happens. But if anyone would like to pay it forward with me, it's on and
right.
You'll see it's me. My picture's up there, and I have a video explaining. As a matter of fact, when I made the first video, I think we had shipped out already 15,000 books. And
right.
so, and I hate to ask people for money, but, I believe what I'm doing. I believe what I'm doing is a really good thing. And by the response I'm getting from everyone, it's well worth it. So if we can get more books to these children, let's do it. I mean, I'm willing to give every book I have if I can. It's, I learned in life, Cindy, that, whatever we achieve here on Earth, that's the ride. That's the fun part. We can't take it with us. We all come into this world as we go out with absolutely nothing.
Exactly.
So,
that's exactly right.
It's just the way I look at life now, and maybe I've been blessed. I'm like a cat. I have 9 lives. I probably should have been killed many times in the police department. I look at life totally different. And, it's just, I just feel blessed to be able to do this, and that God gave me the talent to create it. And I just want to keep going from here.
And you will. I'll tell you, it's an incredible accomplishment. Anytime someone opens up their heart along with their handiwork and sends it out into the world, you're touching lives, and that's immeasurable, and it's priceless, I have to say. I'm very proud to know you. I'm very proud of the campaign that you started. Obviously, of course, I have posted up the GoFundMe account, as well as obviously having you on the show today. I've also sent off to Bridget some more leads in terms of getting you more interviews so we can spread the word further and further and further. I also want to not forget to ask you something before we wrap up the show. I don't know if you got a chance to notice this or not, but I know that one of the things you do is song composition, and I don't want to forget to ask you this question. Next month I'm going to be filming my first film, and I am seeking instrumental music, and I wasn't sure if you created any instrumental music or any kind of classical music. Have you done that?
Oh, yes. I have, with Finest Music, I have some great instrumental music. I represent a incredible guitarist by the name of Colin Graham, and Colin has created these really beautiful pieces with a mixture of Celtic classical instrumentation, and as a matter of fact, the name of his album is Celtic Landscapes. And if you're familiar with Celtic, you hear it in all the movies. I mean, in so many movies now, you have these big Celtic team orchestras and music and stuff like that. So to answer your question, yes, I have a lot of music, and if I don't, I will know someone who does.
That's awesome, because I have a bunch of wonderful music, but I'm always of the belief you can never have enough music, especially when it's a black and white film that I'm doing, and so obviously a lot of the work lends itself to both the actors and the music, and that's it. Very little dialogue in this. So I want to make my bases covered, and I thought, the Magic Man's coming on my show today, so I cannot forget to ask him about that. So yes, we'll have to chit-chat off the show in terms of coordinating something, getting the music together. I love that. I want to read off this huge list, by the way, and it is a huge list of all the ways that folks can find you. So when I get done, just let me know if I missed anything. This fine gentleman who's been on the show today is,
No, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you.
Oh, that's right. The fine gentleman today that's been on the show is Michael Sheahan, and it's spelled Sheahan. These are all the following places we can find him. He is on LinkedIn, iTunes, Goodreads, Google, Reverb Nation, Barnes & Noble. Facebook, he has a personal page, as well as Mr. Holiday Celebrations, as well as singer-songwriter Michael Sheahan. On Twitter, he is himself at Michael C. Sheahan, and again, it's spelled Sheahan, and Mr. Holiday Songs. The website itself, MrHolidaysSongs.com. The GoFundMe page, of course, which we mentioned, and that's on my social media as well as the show page, is The Gift Keeps Giving, which is the name of the campaign, and that's on GoFundMe.com. And I also noticed, do you have a YouTube channel or an Instagram? I wasn't sure about that.
I have a YouTube channel, Mr. Holidays, but we haven't followed up with the YouTube as much because I found out that YouTube is putting advertisements and stuff on it, and it's very distracting for someone's creative content, even though YouTube is a fantastic facility. But, you know, if you go on YouTube and you want to watch something and you're distracted by an advertisement and you click on that advertisement, it takes you away from what you originally went to watch. Right. So I kind of keep it. Now I'm uploading my stuff on Facebook, and that way when you click on it, you stay right with Facebook and you can follow it through. Because how many times, Cindy, have you been doing something and you intend to watch something and your phone rings? And all of a sudden that's gone out the window, so you never get to watch it. Well, that's kind of what I would love YouTube to kind of change a tiny bit, is to give you a chance, do you want to see this commercial, instead of forcing it on you for many seconds till you click off it to watch what you wanted to watch. But but that being said, YouTube is absolutely one of the best ways to get your music out there and get everything seen. The only thing about YouTube is you have to be discovered. How do people find you? There's so much content. So it's it has its goods and bads, you know, that type of thing.
I agree with you, definitely. Did I miss anything? Was there any other place that I didn't mention that you're on? I just didn't want to miss anything because I think you're on so many places. I just want anybody to miss you. If anybody would like to purchase the book, they can go to bookmasters.com and just put in Mr. Holidays Presents the Rooftop Hop, and Bookmasters is my distributor. They will ship you out a book right away. And that's probably the best place to get it because you're getting a brand new book. Amazon is also good, but Amazon now I see on my page, and you have no control of it. They sell some used books, and I wouldn't recommend buying a used book because my book comes with an original CD and a DVD. And if they get damaged or scratched, well, you just bought a book that doesn't have the content that goes with it. So, I just want to put that out there to people because, it's a special product we created, and they all work together. The CD has the chart-topping song, The Rooftop Hop. Right now is number 2 on the New York holiday charts. And the other song, Jingle, Jangle, Jingle, All Night Long, also number 2 in the holiday charts because it's an album. It's not just a single. And then it has the backing tracks so the children or anyone can sing the song themselves with the band behind them, like I'm singing with the band behind me. So it's like karaoke. So it's that's the CD, and then the DVD is so much content. So that's the only thing. If you do get the Rooftop Hop, it's $20. It's not a lot of money. That's not bad.
Buy a new
That's
one,
nothing.
because that way all the content is pristine and ready to go.
Right. I agree with you, definitely. I am so elated that you finally found time to get on the show. I was a little nervous about this because I knew you were leaving tomorrow, and I was like, okay, I got to move some things around. So I can't thank you enough for taking the time before you leave to do this. I think, again, this is honorable. I will make sure that I make some time to get onto the GoFundMe campaign and spread it around to my friends as well because I have other outlets we can do this too. I certainly, when you get back from your trip, let's collaborate. Let's get together in terms of getting some ideas together as far as music for my film. That would be great. I would love it. Just stay safe, please, and congratulations for all your success. You really are just an incredible human being. I am just blessed to know you.
Cindy, I can't thank you enough. You had me on before, and you've had me on again now, and I really appreciate it. And yes, let's exchange our information so we can keep in touch. But I just want to let you know, doing radio interviews from Ireland as well, and different interviews. So the world is so small today with technology. I'm keep going. I'm not stopping yet. So even for shipping out orders and stuff that comes in, we're going to work till right up to Christmas to donate our books to give a lift to those children this Christmas.
Exactly. Keep the hope alive. That's right. Enjoy yourself. Have some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful interviews. I'll be crossing my fingers for you. Yeah. And like I said, we'll touch base when you get back. That would be terrific. Just go and have a good time, my dear.
Fantastic. And I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Oh, yes.
Let's take out 2017 with a blast, and hopefully 2018 is even better.
That sounds terrific. And don't be a stranger. Let's not wait another 5 years before you come back to the show, please. I'm here anytime you need to come back.
Absolutely, Cindy. I promise.
All right.
I promise.
That's
Thank
great.
you so much.
All righty. Anytime, dear. Have a
the
great day.
All right, God bless.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Okay, again, folks, his name is Michael Sheahan, and I'll read off again all the ways to find him. He is on YouTube, as you mentioned, iTunes, Goodreads, Google, Barnes & Noble, Reverb Nation. He has also got his website, which is MrHolidaySongs.com. He also mentioned that you can go to bookmasters.com to get the book itself. As far as Facebook, different places. Personal page, as well as Mr. Holiday Celebrations and singer-songwriter Michael Sheahan. The GoFundMe page is entitled The Gift Keeps Giving, which you can currently give it now. LinkedIn, and of course Twitter, two different places, at Michael C. Sheahan, and again it's SHEAHAN, and Mr. Holiday's Songs. So please go ahead and support his efforts. I can't tell you how incredibly impressed I am by the work that he is doing. I do not want to forget to mention, obviously I'm back on the air at 5 o'clock Central Standard Time, which is Todd with SimFit will be on, talking about his new business as well as the creation of SimFit TV. So I'm excited about that. Second of all, I can't wrap this up without saying Bridget O'Brien of Bridget O'Brien PR and Events. Check out Bridget PR. I want to say Bridget O'Brien, PRandEvents.com. This is how you know I need a break. Without Bridget, I probably would have never had half of the best clients that I've ever had on radio. She is hands down. When I talk about publicists in New York City, she is one out of my two favorites, besides you, Dana Humphrey. They are beautiful. They are talented. They are all in with their clients. And she's an amazing mother, an amazing friend, and a wonderful wife, and a wonderful person to know. So I love you, and I miss you, my dear. Thank you again for another wonderful show. You guys, thanks so much for listening in. I'll be back on in 2.5 hours or so. Have a great afternoon, and stay out of the snow.
Wow, nice haul.
Told ya, Macy's Backstage has perfect last-minute gifts.
With prices so low, you never need a coupon.
I scored the perfect makeup palette.
Super cute. I grabbed these cool drones for the guys.
Nice. Here's a handbag for Aunt Helen.
Found awesome toys for the kids.
Cookware for the budding chef.
Oh, and look what I got for Uncle Hank.
A puppy chew toy?
No, that's for Rex. They even have gifts for pets.
Well, you know Uncle Hank. He'd love anything we gave him.
Macy's Backstage. Savings for everyday life. Details at Macy'sBackstage.com. Wow, nice haul.
Told ya, Macy's Backstage has perfect last-minute gifts.
With prices so low, you never need a coupon.
I scored the perfect makeup palette.
Super cute. I grabbed these cool drones for the guys.
Nice. Here's a handbag for Aunt Helen.
Found awesome toys for the kids.
Cookware for the budding chef.
Oh, and look what I got for Uncle Hank.
A puppy chew toy?
No, that's for Rex. They even have gifts for pets.
Well, you know Uncle Hank. He'd love anything we gave him.
Macy's Backstage. Savings for everyday life. Details at Macy'sBackstage.com.